Welcome back, everyone. If you've been with me for a little while, and also judging by my profile pic, then you know that I am now, and always have been, a huge professional wrestling fan. The Territory Days, Hulkamania, the Monday Night Wars, ECW, WCW, Lucha Libre, New Japan, all the way through the PG era to today's current product, I am not only a fan, but I consider myself somewhat of a wrestling historian. So when Netflix announced a new 6-part docuseries that would be focusing on the one person that has always been somewhat of a mystery in the universe of sports entertainment, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, I was very, very intrigued. Even more so when the trailer hinted at possibly containing new and previously unknown details concerning the newest federal investigation into Vince McMahon, which includes not only human trafficking, but other despicable, horrendous acts of violence against multiple women over the last 10 years. So when the docuseries dropped this past week in its entirety, I binge-watched every episode back to back. And when I was finished, I was very disappointed. But before we get into it, if you could take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video out, we really appreciate it. It helps out the channel each and every week. So when I started watching, it did not take long before I was disappointed. From the very first opening credits, the show specifically tells you that everything you're going to see was filmed way before the federal investigation went public, and that when that investigation went public, they were forced to shut down the interviews and they lost their access. Now, before that, they had unprecedented access to the WWE, the corporation, the executives in charge, dozens of current and former wrestling personalities, and even Vince McMahon himself. Which is where we get to my second disappointment. When Vince starts out his interview by telling you that he does not like to talk about himself, and that he's only going to tell you what he wants, and the stuff that is really outrageous he's not even going to go into or mention, well, I got a little deflated at that point. But I continued to watch, and here is the thing. If you're someone like me, a fan, a knowledgeable fan, someone who's already seen all of the previous WWE documentaries, has watched the product, read the news articles, has paid attention to the current events, listened to the various podcasts that are out there, then you learn nothing new from any of these episodes. The documentary is basically a condensed look at 50 years of wrestling content. It's the Cliff Notes version of sports entertainment, which is fine if you don't know that stuff already. But again, if you're someone like me, a fan, you already know how Vince created the WWF and took over the territories, how he created WrestleMania, and how Ted Turner instigated the Monday Night Wars, and the Montreal Screwjob, and the steroid scandal, the Chris Benoit tragedy, and on and on. Again, nothing new comes from this documentary series. And this is a shame because some of the questions that wrestling fans like myself may have asked got asked, but the interviewers did not press for answers. For example, why did Shane McMahon, Vince's son, leave the company not once, but twice? They had access to Linda McMahon, Vince's wife, but they stayed far away from asking questions about how the current events and scandals affected their marriage. Are they still even married? Are they still together? She was the CEO for a long, long time. What does she know? Well, how does she feel? But they never get into it. Why did Stephanie, his daughter, resign? She was the chief brand officer. She was the face of the company. Never mind that the interviewers, when they do ask about previous lawsuits against Vince for harassment or outright assault against women that occurred in all of the previous years, we're talking maybe 10, 15, 20 years back, they let him just swat it away with memory lapses or outright denials, even though he settled these suits for large sums of money. Now, I know there's a lot of legalities involved. There still may be liability at stake. I get that. But don't put out a documentary series that says you're going to tell everybody everything about Mr. Vince McMahon when you're really not, when you're really just regurgitating everything we already know. And the documentary is just really not even complete. They skip over some things. For example, they skip over the plane ride from hell, totally, which, if you don't know, was a chartered plane full of drunk and drugged up wrestlers flying from Germany to Connecticut. And among other things, there were assault lawsuits settled on behalf of the female flight attendants that went through hell during that trip. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a hit piece on Vince, and far be it from me to defend Vince McMahon, but the only positive moments for Vince are based on business decisions, and those are few and far between. You definitely walk away from the entirety of this documentary thinking Vince is a very unstable sociopath who has probably left an ocean of human wreckage in his wake, but there is no attempt at any balance, and that may be both Vince and the production team's fault because they never try to find that balance. In one way, Vince even encourages people to look at him him like his Vince McMahon character on TV, someone totally disgusting and depraved, a horrible human being, and the production crew really just lets him go with it. But in the end, I guess we must remember that as rough as they are on Vince, again, he's someone who probably deserves that type of treatment because of past actions and those actions that are yet to be litigated. Now, if you're not a wrestling fan and you are interested in seeing some of the history, the backstage drama behind it all, then the docuseries will entertain you. Except I just don't think this is the type of product that will appeal to non-wrestling fans, at least not very many. Professional wrestling is one of those things that you either are into or you just don't get and think is the lowest form of entertainment to the point that you're embarrassed to even be watching it in any form. So my final verdict is that after the credits rolled on episode 6, I felt like I had just wasted my time. And I think most of the wrestling fans out there like me will feel the same way. And that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, if you want more movie reviews and commentary, click on the links in the description for my general movie review playlist and my retro movie review playlist. I thank you for watching. Remember, I'm still your reluctant gringo from south of the border. Salute and a huevo.